Acting Speaker, and it's a pleasure to again rise on a Firefighters Presumptive Rights Compensation and Fire Services Legislation Amendment 2019, and it's been a journey to this point in time once again that has seen significant politics and significant heartache throughout Victoria in our fire services. This has been a testing and trying time for those people, professionals, volunteer, career firefighters who do our state the utmost service each and every day, keeping our community safe. And there's been a lot of bloodshedding from this process in getting to this point in time. And sadly, a lot of that has been based on mistruths, misinformation, fear, and the lack of integrity from numerous participants who would rather choose political expediency over the interests of their community and the safety of their residents and their constituents. But, you know, in this place we always come in with hoping that when people put their hand and they take the oath or affirmation that they will always defend the interests of their communities. And when you have overwhelming evidence that says that residents are put at risk based on the current structure of our fire services, the notion that you would embark on damaging and political campaigns that damage communities, split families and hurt firefighters more broadly is truly extraordinary. But it's worth reflecting on how we've come to this point. People have mentioned Good Friday. But what is more telling is also the categorisation of career firefighters, who are indeed as well UFU members. And something that I've noticed across discussions in this place and speeches that have been made is the demonisation of these heroes, these people who risk their lives, who suffer along the journey with post-traumatic stress disorder, of what they see in the support that they provide to our communities. And the Shadow Emergency Services member talking quite disparagingly about separation of volunteer and career as if they are segregated or something to be feared or something that is poor in our state is very disappointing. But there is form in this place because, of course, during debates during the last bill, we saw some pretty horrible statements about career firefighters and Black Saturday. It required the then Shadow Minister and now Shadow Minister and Member for Gembrook to publicly apologise. But then again, we then see through that journey the Good Friday pairing debacle, and then the Leader of the Nationals again saying how proud he was to defeat presumptive legislation in this state. And once again, we see rank politics getting in the way of the protection of firefighters and communities. And that's the real sad telling truth of where we find ourselves today. But there's one more kicker in this story. There's one more thing that we need to reflect on, and that's the Hands Off the CFA campaign. Now, not anyone across this parliament, you take a political party at its face value and the issue that they put forward and the debate that we have in a democracy and in this parliament. But when we saw those opposite try to raise money, to siphon funds into their pockets, to line their next campaign on the back of fear, of misinformation, that we knew really what the truth was in this debate. We knew that it was never about safety. It was never about, in inverted commas, saving the CFA. It was then about political expediency. It was about securing the re-election, or the election of a Liberal government in 2018. Well, the Victorian people made their decision. The Victorian people, and this was the most hypersensitive and most exposed campaign through the 58th Parliament. And the result of the election was the affirmation that safety, rather than fear, protection of community rather than rank politics was going to be the way forward in our state. And we didn't want to debate this bill during fire season because our dedicated firefighters were serving our community. And I reflect on Bunyip, because the Bunyip State Ridge Fire and the affected communities throughout Baw Baw Shire, through Cardinia Shire, they were significantly challenging times. And my family, my wife's family live in Gembrook, and consistently we were tracking the mapping, which you do when you're on a fire risk, and it's the screenshot every half hour to then see where the expansion of the fire front. What we saw, and this is telling across the board, incident controller is put in place, and every available resource, be it career, volunteer or community, all fronting up under the name of community safety and protection. And that's the best elements of our firefighters, because whether you're a career firefighter or a volunteer, the professionalism that they put forward each and every day in the protection of our communities is truly inspiring. And those opposite, and I think the member for Roval might have mentioned this and reflected on this before about how will members go back to their communities and front up to their communities about changes that might occur. Well, I put this to the member for Roval, who I've served on a committee with: come out for a cuppa at Edithvale. Take the politics out of this. Come with me to Edithvale Fire Station. Come with me anytime, any day. I'll get Payak out the way. I'll even shout the coffee and come and talk to my crew, a full volunteer brigade in Edithvale. A full volunteer brigade with over 130 members, with wonderful female participation and excellent leadership. And guess what? They're nestled around career firefighters and an integrated brigade. Mentone and Hyatt are MFB stations, and they are in an ecosystem of fire protection in our community. And at Patterson River, they link in with their crew at Patterson River, Springvale and Dandenong in any form of critical incident. That's what the ecosystem of fire safety is reflected in, and we've had senior people in VFB leadership who are members of the Edithvale Brigade, and that shouldn't be lost on anyone. During this whole campaign, during the whole FEAR campaign and the fundraising, senior VFB members of their executive, who then presented evidence at Fistville on behalf of volunteer brigades, were senior members of the Edithvale Brigade. Yet we saw past the politics and we saw opportunity, because they've all existed already in that ecosystem, and despite our communities growing, they continue to protect and support others around them. And they are professionals. At Edithvale, in every sense of the word, they are professionals. They have emergency medical response vehicle as well out of there. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, this was a piloted trial, and Edithvale Volunteer Brigade was a part of that trial. And they could be first to an incident that keeps people ticking along before a MICA paramedic or our paramedics get there. And on occasions, they are the first there, volunteers who are stationed at Edithvale, ready to go. And this is the kind of professionalism in an ecosystem of emergency services. So the challenge is that when this bill steps forward past this House, maybe those opposite can reflect then on a new era. From 1950s, from where the Country Fire Authority has evolved, from the numerous reports, the numerous warnings that the Victorian Parliament has had about safety. We've had coronial inquests, we've had royal commissions, we've seen the fallovers in when you don't have the proper standards delivery times, lives are put at risk. And that's the real key here. Of course, we need to be focused on surge capacity. And if Bunyip was any example of that, with all the agencies coming together to support those communities and the absolute heroism that was shown by every agency there, that's how everyone sticks together. That's how, in the absence of leadership across the Parliament, we've had leadership at the grassroots level when critical instances come forward. It's a chance to turn the page and turn it to a new era in firefighting in our state. And this is the challenge that we put forward, that we step away from the politics, we step away from fear campaigns in communities, and we lead now in a positive fashion to bring everyone together. And the reality is the election's been done and dusted now, and it's time now for us to put aside the combative nature and then go, how can we empower our brigades? We'll always be asking for more. We'll always have a view of what we can do. But the nature that volunteerism will be destroyed in Victoria hasn't played out in any set circumstance, or the reports and the significant investigations in CFA over a number of years. And it won't play out now because of the values and ethos that are put forward by brigades like Edithvale, who work each and every day, not just in our community to keep people safe and alive, but throughout our state during critical instances. So that's the challenge. Will we put forward rank politics into the 59th Parliament, or can we rule a line under the deep divisions and divided and bitterness that we saw, trying to line the pockets of political parties, those opposite the Liberal Nationalist parties, trying to profit off the fear and misery of that CFA dispute. That's the challenge. The final thing I'd reflect on, and I've mentioned it briefly, is now's the time also for the Shadow Minister to stop demonising UFU firefighters. Enough is enough. Career firefighters do an incredible job. They're heroes in our community, and the notion to keep beating up on them consistently, and the example that was shown at the Bunyip Ridge State Fire during Black Saturday, enough's enough. Show some integrity, rule the line under this. Let's get this bill on the way, and let's reform the CFA and FRV.